So I'm gonna make this context quick. Once upon a time, a robot and a dragon by the name of Pick, Pack, and Jungo made a video about why the Build-A-Bear Workshop's horror expansion failed to capitalize on the potential of the first movie's hit success. After that, previous Let's Just Comment topic Mr. Smith, in which his first name was Will, which is Chinese for Jonah, covered that video and explained the intricacies of Grumpy Bear's character progression. Or at least that's what I got from the 7th hour mark of his video. A half-dead cat then comes in which I mean Eeyore from Winnie the Pooh, and tells Mr. Smith that Grumpy Bear was totally unjustified in buying a fish fillet sandwich from Burger King on the basis that Sunshine Bear asked specifically for a Chick-fil-A sandwich, and Grumpy Bear spent the money he'd need to afford said sandwich on something selfish, like his wife's leukemia. Anime then comes in, yeah, you heard me right, Anime itself, and tells them that Grumpy Bear actually isn't real, so why do they even give a shit? And then Kainu the butt-busting robot activates his cop mode. We all caught up? Yeah, me neither. Here's my avatars, bitch!
So I'm gonna make this context quick.
Wait a dick-sucking second. So I'm gonna make this context quick. That's what I said, you fucking plagiarist!
It's the king of the wait a minute now.
Wait. Okay, I have some issues with your disclaimer. Mainly, wow.
World of Warcraft got cancelled, though.
You're just a little edgelord, aren't you?
But I'm a circle. Rorm, why the fuck do you keep popping into my videos uninvited? Because I'm a window. Oh, wait, I thought you were a circle. A circle window. Wait, who the fuck is that? He was here last time. Oh shit, you're right, he was. Rorm also wonders why he hasn't taken all your subs yet. What? Nothing.
I would read this off, but I doubt I would be able to without laughing. You don't care about feelings or if the person improved?
Wait, but you said you wouldn't read it, but now you are. That's it, young lady. You are banned from the library and Rorm is gone. Fuck off.
I like how you say this isn't a personal attack or harassment when your language gets really fucking venomous once you get to your actual points.
Keep this in mind as later we're gonna see that Eno here is making a mountain out of a molehill. Also, what's wrong with him being edgy? Like, this isn't inherently an issue and you don't elaborate. Like, ever. Now I get this may have been a joke, but your tone stays the same and it's very hard to tell. Okay, so I'm gonna ignore that this is just flat out wrong because she claims he's an edgelord and the rest of her point, that being the part you like literally just said would be important later, was supposed to be the explanation for why his edginess here is bad, but instead I want to focus on the fact that you saying you couldn't tell if it was a joke actually plays into a big problem I have with your overall video, because honestly, this right here is a fucking cop-out. Like, seriously, I've seen tons of commentators do this over the years, and while I might be guilty of it myself sometime in the past, I'm not perfect, this tactic has progressively gotten more obnoxious every time I fucking see it. If you don't know what I'm talking about when a commentator claims that something might be a joke, but then dismiss that concept because of the vague critique of, oh, the acting made it hard to tell. Not that they'll ever explain what's wrong with the acting or what made the joke hard to notice, it's just hard to notice because they said so. You know, unless they could cop out of the cop-out by saying, oh, your tone was the same, because yes, words and context just don't mean anything anymore when it comes to figuring out if something's a joke. Also, you never really demonstrate how the tone is the same, but maybe that's just a nitpick on my end. Which, if nobody notices the tactic, of course, completely frees them of being the one at fault for possibly taking a joke too seriously, as they haphazardly shift the blame onto the target instead. It's gotten old at this point, guys. Let us all kindly agree to fucking stop it.
And, okay, I'm going off script a little bit here, but I'm really not a fan of your use of the word triggered. It's because of people like you that people see the word as like some sort of buzzword or trendy word for being angry when its actual meaning is a lot more serious than that, you know, panic attacks, PTSD. Just, you should probably knock that shit off, dude. That's all I'm gonna say on that.
You know, you do understand that words can change meaning over time, right? Like, yeah, originally triggered could have been a word relating to PTSD.
That's okay, and I don't mind. I think you're kinda perfect. You blend in with the guy.
Although, it evolved into a slang term.
It's because of people like you that people see the word as like some sort of buzzword or trendy word for being angry.
If you don't like the use of it, fine, whatever. Although, stop trying to change other people's moral compasses to fit yours. Just because you don't like it doesn't mean that other people can't use the word in that way.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Cop-Out number 2. Like, legit, not only is this fucked because you saying it turned into a slang doesn't even remotely address her problem, since her problem is with it becoming a slang and Undead using it the way he did due to her seeing it as problematic to the victims of PTSD, but this is also just straight up a cop-out because you're all like, oh, don't try to change other people's moral compasses when they don't fit yours, when, dude, if you've ever argued a point that has to do with the attitude of others, see my commentary on YouTube Dude in the CanCom, you are by nature critiquing someone for having a moral compass that doesn't align with your own. I mean, sure, there are ways to do it incorrectly if your critique is too subjective or is just wrong, but you saying she's invalid for just talking on a moral issue flies directly in the face of ethical debate.
Hey, so actually a quick disclaimer before the video begins.
I'm sorry, Chief, you gotta repeat yourself. I have no idea what the fuck you just said.
Hey, so actually a quick disclaimer before the video begins.
See, now if that's not what you said, that I just wrote on the screen, then it would help if you enunciated. I know it's kind of a meme for me to make fun of shitty audio quality, but if you're going to be recording with your laptop built-in microphone, the least you could do is enunciate enough so that we can understand you over the lo-fi quality of your fucking voice.
Oof, we're getting into this argument. I thought we were taught not to comment on speech impediments or accents or whatnot.
Let's learn how to tie in.
Shut the fuck up your mouth. Is that Sans?
Just a robot and the name's Junkie made a video explaining why they don't like the FNAF series.
I'm gonna need you guys to remember this.
It wasn't that good. That's literally all the context you need here.
Well, since you don't give two shits about giving any context whatsoever other than the video exists and the video is bad, I can't wait to see what eloquent points you bring out of your fucking ass in order to substantiate your claims on such a subjective fucking video.
You're just a ray of sunshine, aren't you?
Whoa, you sure wrecked that, Edgelord Funny.
Face it! Blackface is a ruin! Ruin!
Also, is this what you mean by him being venomous? Because that's fucking dumb. He was just adding a bit more emotion into his voice. Then sure, maybe he's sounding a bit aggressive, although it's not really venomous.
Where exactly did you get that she was referring to just his tone in that segment? Like, maybe she could be talking about his language mixed with his tone. And while we're on the topic, maybe it's kind of a bad idea to cherry pick aspects of what she might be talking about to contribute to your narrative and leave out the parts that don't, or something.
Jonah is literally just stating that he doesn't feel any other context than what he gave needs to be given. Not a good idea to just assume all of his points will be awful before he even begins giving his points.
Although, couldn't it be argued that if someone doesn't give any effort regarding the context, couldn't we assume that they will give approximately the same amount of effort throughout the rest of the video?
No. Like, sure, maybe this could be the case, but let's say the context was just, this video is bad, let's go, and that's honestly all that needed to be said. At that point, there is approximately no reason to assume the rest of it will be bad. Also, good job ignoring the full point again and only focusing on the parts that support your argument. Ignoring, of course, the fact that she straight up said that Jonah put in the right amount of effort needed for the context, given that Meowth nowhere in his point claims what context was actually required for Jonah's opening thoughts to be the valid amount of effort. And once again, sure, you do follow this up by stating that Meowth's point was bad for the reasons that Eno stated.
Now sure, Jonah wasn't being lazy with the context, and Meowth's point is retarded, as Jonah didn't need to give any more context for his audience to understand what's going on, but Meowth's point about if someone doesn't give two shits to give context, we can't expect much from the rest of the video, is a valid one.
But I also debunked why that part of Meowth's points is also flimsy at best, and your point is completely disconnected from what's going on. So, you're a dum-dum.
Whoa! Jonah leaving in footage doesn't wait to the video at all, just pads it out? Sorry to say, but no, you're wrong. Okay, no, you can go. This isn't one of those huge debunk moments. Honestly, though, I would like you to remember this whole entire set of dialogue, because this actually will tie into one of the main problems I have with this video as a whole later.
And your whole spiel about how the footage you're showing isn't you padding for runtime. You yourself are still padding for runtime. You take something that could have easily been said in 10 seconds into a 20-second skit about how people are going to say you're padding for fucking runtime.
Oh, you mean like what you're doing yourself? With your pauses in your speech and beating around the bush? Again, I'll give you he's dragging it out just a tad, though really an extra 10 seconds isn't much of an issue. Just saying, you probably shouldn't call him out for something you yourself are doing.
Okay, Kainu, this is a really easy point to debunk. Don't fuck it up.
Don't say it, 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 don't say it. Hypocrisy doesn't make him wrong.
I'm fucking done. I'm fucking fuck you.
In all seriousness, however, so what if Meowth is a hypocrite? That doesn't make him incorrect, and it seems like you're trying to discredit him over debunking his point.
Because I said so. Part fucking 3. Like, legit, this is probably one of the worst instances of this, because her argument wasn't trying to say he was wrong because he was a hypocrite, or at the very least, if it is, you don't even remotely showcase why. Her point, if you were even remotely listening, was just saying he was a hypocrite. She never said he was wrong, so you making this argument is just incorrect. I mean, sure, you can argue that maybe her saying he can't argue something while also doing it could be seen as her trying to say he's wrong. In fact, you literally argued this to yourself in the comments, but, no, that doesn't count. Why do I say this? Because she never said it made him wrong. She just stated that practicing what you preach is important to a debater, which it is. Because sure, while you can argue that it doesn't make Meowth wrong all you fucking want, but as a presenter, it hurts his ethos, which sure wouldn't work if we were judging just the arguments on their own, but we're also judging these videos as, well, videos, and judging the presenter on how well they present the arguments they make. By your logic, we'd be completely ignoring ethos and commentaries, especially when it comes to the context of hypocrisy, and you'd be once again actively spitting in the face of intellectually stimulating discussions. And Jesus. Okay, so after this point, there are a few arguments I kind of agree with, some that just have the same problems as before, and 1 or 2 points that I'm not 100% confident to cover. So, what I'm gonna do now is I'm just gonna go into final thoughts. Listen, Kainu, this video you made is bad. Your intent was bad, as your intent was entirely based off the fact Eno stole your Ritz crackers, something I obviously know, because I think you said somewhere that you liked Ritz once, and I don't need to explain why this is a salty crackered flavored revenge commentary, because obviously I'm right and
Now, here's a funny question.
Kanye West.
This won't be that much of a comedic commentary given the subject matter at hand. So yeah, this will be mostly serious.
First of all, do you really have to make it clear that a video about school shootings is gonna be serious?
I don't know, did Richard and Zampano have to do the same thing when they were making a video about victim blaming?
By the way, this is just a quick of a disclaimer. This commentary is gonna be serious, and we're gonna try our best to put in some jokes, but most of the time this commentary is actually going to be a serious commentary.
Exactly.
That really doesn't dispute Ryan's point. All you did was ask a question and then say exactly after showing a clip. And I see what you're doing here, but the thing is, the clip doesn't answer the question. See, because, in all honesty, they didn't have to put the disclaimer, okay? And even then, your disclaimer is different from theirs, because they actually disclaimer and say that they're going to try to put jokes in, whereas you kind of left it vague and could leave people to the interpretation that you're not going to make any jokes at all in the whole video. I'm not saying that was your intention, I'm just saying that's what it came off as.
What? No! 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 They both implied the same statement. They were just worded differently. Your point was doing so decently until you had to throw that part in. Even then, how does him saying less comedic imply no jokes at all? I find it funny that the point Ernie tried discrediting me with ends up discrediting you more than me.
I didn't say, there's gonna be no humor in this, because Christopher Nolan demands it.
Whoa, Ryan!
What?
I have feet!
Evan, are you drunk?
No.
Either way, that really doesn't destroy the fact that being serious does not mean a sacrifice in comedy. As long as the jokes doesn't ruin the mood of the point and or is placed in an area where your point isn't really that serious, then you don't need to make the video less
I only said mostly serious, I didn't say...
Bad Alien Eye Guy. Bad! You cut Ryan off of his point, which means this point is entirely invalid, which means I'm gonna skip it.
Okay, 1, Ernie did not cut me off. In fact, I cut myself off. Play the clip, then you don't need to make the video less
Give me Kanye.
Even then, how does this make his entire point invalid? At that point I had said everything I had to say. If I did happen to continue, it wouldn't be anything else to add anyways. So him cutting me off doesn't make him invalid in the slightest. However, what did make his point invalid was the fact that his point clearly had flaws and you could have easily debunked it, you frick!
Get her alive!
No!
Get her alive!
No!
Get her alive!
No!
Get her alive!
No!
Done. Over. Click. Off.
Ha! You win.
With how you said that line, it sounds like you're trying to talk about how annoying your neighbor's dogs are or something.
Are you serious? You followed up a statement of you say that this commentary is going to be more serious and less jokey with not 1, but two jokes. One being a pointless cameo and the other one being a generic one-liner. Sure, you said mostly serious, but it's rather poor placement.
Okay, the first statement, that was a joke. The second one, that wasn't a joke. In fact, it was there to point out just his tone of voice in the video. Also, you said there shouldn't be a sacrifice in comedy, yet you're whining, oh, they're making jokes. I mean, make up your mind, man.
Dude, no matter what you were trying to do with that joke, it's still a joke. Yeah, you were using it to prove a point, but it was still a joke.
Okay, minor issue, but why did you let his entire clip play when you weren't even going to refute his entire argument? You only covered one part of it, why didn't you cut to that part of the argument?
Ryan?
What is it now?
It's because she cut me!
You know, making people feel bad.
You see where I'm...
You cut yourself off. You cut yourself off.
Your acting is wooden. Your acting is wooden. Your acting is wooden.
You cut yourself off. You hear the thing I brought up about the bad editing? Yeah, it's right here too. You can re-record. The record button, after you press stop, the microphone doesn't blow up.
Objection! I present to the court this evidence!
Seriously, it's not like you can only record it once and then after that the record button just freaking explodes. You can use it again! It's still there!
Been charged with first, second, third, and fourth degree.
Dinner Hive!
That's my joke!
Extreme beach volleyball!
Ryan, no!
Don't make me get the spoon again, Evan!
You don't only have one shot.
You only get one shot! Do not miss your chance to blow! This opportunity comes once in a lifetime! You gotta lose yourself in the music the moment you own it! Was there a gun? Was there people killed with said gun? Yeah, sure, 2 out of 3 of the requirements, but it supports him in some way.
Really? 2 out of 3? Oh yeah, it supports his claim, even though it didn't... I mean, you even admit it didn't take place at a school. Really? Okay, you know what? Let's apply that anywhere else. Okay, there's a bank robbery, but a bloody bank robbery. Were there guns involved? Yes. Were there deaths? Yes. Did it take place at a school? No, but 2 out of 3 works, right? Or how about something a little more down to earth? You got a bike. Does it have a frame? Yes. Does it have a chain? Yes. Does it have wheels? No. But 2 out of 3 is still good, right? Yeah, if you can somehow ride a bike without wheels.
As for your examples here, both of them don't apply. I mean, I see where your mindset is, but it doesn't apply to what Ryan was implying. You see, Ryan was saying what he said because he was saying that the school shooting part of it doesn't necessarily need to be there for it to be a shooting that happened in a public place. You're using bank robberies and a bike with no wheels as examples with no context, which in turn makes your examples only half comparable to Ryan's. Which in turn means you're only half right, which in turn means that this point isn't fully right, which means it could be fully wrong.
That doesn't make any sense! It can't be half right but fully wrong!
Even then, you said his comparison of the bank robbery was bad because it isn't comparable to mine. So if his example doesn't work, because it's pretty much the same as mine, they both have the same things happening, then that must make me invalid, making your point super counterproductive to what you're even trying to do.
That was confusing.
Gee, you think?
Yes, I do think.
Well, I think you're a Butterfinger donut.
I like donuts.
You're right, we should go get donuts.
But there are no donuts.
No!
And remember, kick logic to the curb and do the impossible. Row, row, fight the power.
Kick logic to the curb? Honestly, that explains a lot of this video.
So before I begin, I need to make 2 disclaimers. 1, I do not hate MatPat, nor do I hate game theory. I just saw some flaws with this theory in particular, and I want to address them in this video. I mean no ill will to MatPat or his followers, and I just want to see him improve.
Okay, now while this might not seem like the case at the moment, this actually becomes important later in the video.
And 2, yes, this video I'm covering is 2 years old! But I haven't seen a video covering it.
Wow, we're at later already? Man, that was quick. Now, while I normally don't care about how old a video is, as I feel it's just become kind of arbitrary, my issue, while it could be seen as a nitpick, is all in your wording. You say you're doing this video to see him improve, yet you're digging up a 2-year-old video. Like, I get the other reasons you brought up, being that no one else has tried debating the theory, or heck, the reason I brought up about it meaning next to nothing in the end. But, if your major concern with this video, in your own words, was to help him improve, then maybe that would be a sign to find a more recent video. Again, I get this is minor, but I still find, throw together.
Because I have Manga Common's blessing and MatPat show part of the video in its being right theory, I'm going to do it.
Wait, did you say Manga Common? Earl, this is all your fault. Oh, so this isn't Manga Common's fault, this was actually Corner Guy's fault! Some therapist you are! By the way, QG, not to say anything rude, but we're gonna need to, have a word in the Kubrick later. You freaking nigga.
But is all of this his fault? I used to think so until I saw this moment from the end of Mega Man 7. At the end of the game, surprise, surprise, Rock has Wily begging for mercy, but this time it's a little different. Mega's not having any of Wily's pleas. I'm gonna do what I should have done years ago, he says. Apparently so enraged he forgot to use his helping verbs. But Dr. Wily reminds him, robots can't hurt humans. That's the way they're programmed. And that's when Mega Man reveals, in probably the slowest text scroll ever featured in a video game, that he is more than a robot. We all know that the next word is robot. A robot. That he is more than a robot.
No! You children are not supposed to applaud him! How dare you! In all seriousness, though, you do know that Mega Man only does that in the English version of the game, right?
Oh, this is gonna hurt, isn't it?
Because in the original Japanese version,
please, you don't have to do this!
While Mega Man, or Rockman in this case, does try to kill Wily, he stops after Wily reminds him that he is a robot, and Mega Man just says absolutely nothing in response to that. Heck, even with that little bit of info in mind, Mega Man's intent of trying to kill Wily is justified. But we'll get to that later.
So, TLDR, a fact that adds nothing to his point. Okay, so, let me get this straight. Your amazing comeback to MatPat is at his point, the point you didn't let finish, mind you, is invalid because of one different dialogue choice in the Japanese version? A Japanese version that, mind you, still doesn't change the fact that Mega Man still tried to kill Wily, which was MatPat's main point in the first place? I mean, sure, that makes sense. Don't see a problem with that.
Now, what's so strange about this moment is that Mega Man, who is not really 100% a robot, is able to independently decide to hurt, even kill a human. This brings up the question of machine ethics, or what it means to program robots so that they behave in a way that we as humans deem moral.
It's later. Now you see, MatPat explains what the 3 laws of robotics are.
1. A robot may not injure a human being or, through inaction, allow a human being to come to harm. 2. A robot must obey the orders given to it by human beings, except where such orders would conflict with the first law. 3. A robot must protect its own existence as long as such protection does not conflict with the first or second law.
However, he does not explain that a 4th one was created later on. It is known as the 0th law, and it goes something like this. A robot may not harm humanity, or by inaction, allow humanity to come to harm. Keyword being humanity. With this in mind, we can take a guess that because Wyatt has been terrorizing Earth for his games for 7 games, more if you count the Game Boy games, Mega Man was probably trying to think of the best way to not harm humanity. And was it going to harm humanity more if a madman like Wily died, or have him live and still continue to be a threat to mankind? It's basically a doing something for the greater good thing. You know, kinda like what heroes like.
Please, for the love of God, stop! Seriously, it sounds like you're trying to do a funny Thai-esque meme, and sounds more like you're, well, trying too hard to do a funny Thai-esque meme. Now, to address your point, minus the fact that yet again she says something that will be important later, this 0th law existing does not somehow make the other 3 laws stop existing too. Sure, Wily could be considered a threat to humanity, but this does not change the fact that Wily is still part of humanity, nor does this change the fact that the other laws about not killing humans still freaking exist. Your point is moot. I almost let me. I want to put this at the end of the video because I actually want to address this because I've realized how many times I've done it. How many times I've accidentally said mute when I meant to say moot. And I never notice it until I actually start editing. And I'm just like, well, frick. Don't feel like fixing that. I can be a little lazy sometimes. It's one word. Screw off.
It's the king of the wait a minute now.
It seems like an extreme claim when there is very clearly a villain in the character of Dr. Wily, but to truly understand, you have to have a clear sense of the series' story. And since there's been a lot of confusion over the years about Mega Man's canon, let me briefly summarize the events of the series.
Please don't, because it seems you're confused as well, seeing how you blame Dr. Light for creating every robot master when that is wrong.
You're joking, right? Now, I ain't gonna say you completely cut out a possible important part of MatPat's argument because I checked the original video, you didn't, but that's the problem. I had to check. Now, chalk this up to being another minor and unimportant point if you would like, but hear me out. Normally, I wouldn't even be bothered by this if you didn't play a clip of MatPat saying he was gonna present context important to his point right before skipping. It looks unbelievably sketchy on your part. But Ryan, my joke would be null and void then, you might be saying. And while I personally didn't laugh at your joke, I have a solution there too. How about clarify in your skip car what it is you're skipping, as it would eliminate unnecessary confusion. Again, I get this isn't like, you know, a big freaking deal, the world's not gonna end or anything, but in the long run, it makes your video look just a little bit more well presented than how it looks now.
Dr. Light wanted to create human-like robots, ones with a sense of individuality, with purpose, a new level of artificial intelligence mimicking the human mind and free will. Thus, he created Proto-Man, the world's first independent robot. But being independent, Proto-Man escaped.
And you know why Proto-Man left? Because there was a problem with his energy core that would cause him to stop functioning, but fearing to lose his character, Proto refused to have Dr. Light meddle with his systems and fled to protect his sense of identity. But from this video, you make it seem like Proto left because he just left.
No he didn't. Like, at all. Remember when MatPat said that this was gonna be a brief summary? It's like, sorry bro, he didn't spell it out for you, my compadre. Heck, even in the photo he shows, it doesn't give off that vibe. Where in the world are you picking this up from?
So instead of doing anything about it, Dr. Light was like, well, better build two this time. And thus, Rock and Roll were created.
After Proto-Man fled, Dr. Light had presumed he had died and gave up on him. That explains why he never went out to go look for Proto, as Light saw it as a lost cause. Did you forget that? Because that's not helpful to dispel any confusion on the Mega Man canon. In fact, that adds to it.
Okay, let me spell this out for you. 1. Stop making up problems that don't actually exist, because MatPat never said this wasn't the case. And 2. These pieces of info are not important to his theory. The reason he didn't elaborate on Proto-Man's reason for leaving is because it doesn't disprove nor relate to his theory. The only reason Proto is important to this theory is because he's an independent robot. This is the same reason he didn't elaborate on Light's reasoning for not looking for Proto, because him going to make on Roll and Mega Man was more important to his video. What you're basically doing here is getting on to MatPat because he didn't feed you all the tiny little details about the story, important or not, that would in turn needlessly drag out the video, which by itself is a really idiotic complaint. Oh, and you know what else makes the situation worse? Azzy was so focused on unimportant details that she was unaware that something she said previous came into her house and took all of her Danish rolls. What do I mean by this? Well, it's very simple. Remember how MatPat brought up Light designing Mega Man have human-like emotions and free will? And remember how Azzy was trying to argue MatPat's point earlier about why Mega Man disobeyed the laws of robots? Guess what just got invalidated? Whoops! That's right, this means that once again, your first 2 points interjected the video before the point was fully explained to you, thus rendering them completely worthless.
So, today I'm doing a commentary on a commentary to a review.
Oh goody, another commentator that has a voice changer for one reason or another and doesn't realize how distracting and somewhat annoying the high pitch is. I mean seriously, in what realm do you think that it's a good idea to sacrifice your quality for whatever reason you can cook up for raising the pitch so high? I mean really, the only reason I can mix up as for why one would want to do this is if it was done ironically or for a character, and even then the latter's kind of pushing it.
This is the first time I've done this, and I don't know, something tells me it won't be my last.
Oh, so there's a chance this won't be my only video on you.
So, I'm doing a commentary on a guy named Comment Jack, who, up to this point, I have never seen one of his videos, but he was recommended channel to me on YouTube, and I wanted to check it out. And hey, he posted a video recently, but before I decided to watch the guy, I did some research. And he appears to be a low-hanging fruit. A total dead horse, if you will, of which to beat.
I don't know if this is just me, but I can't help but find this person's acting awkward and janky. Like, I can't put it into words, but they talk like they're a new commentator with maybe 50 subs. Not someone who's made multiple commentaries at this point with over 1,000 subs.
He seems to be very unpopular. But has this ever stopped me from hopping on a bandwagon before? Well, not really, no, so let's hop into the commentary, shall we?
You know, I could make the obligatory "I really hope they bring something new to the table" joke, but honestly, I think that's expecting too much out of the situation I'm currently in, with someone whose avatar is Cream the freaking Rabbit.
And it looks like there's no sign of any more of this in the future.
Oh, hey, I've seen that guy before, yeah, what's his name? Ben Looney, right? Yeah, he's suggested in the related channels on my review channel, so I thought I'd check him out. Guy's not half bad. He's far from a reviewer I would hold in high regard, but he's certainly a reviewer I would recommend people checking out.
Excuse me, might I ask what the hell you're doing right now? What exactly does this add to anything? Like, I sort of understand that it's explaining the degrees in some way, but you could have done this in the intro segment. This entire explanation is so poorly acted, dragged on, and full of little things you could have left out that I can't really find myself caring.
On top of that, you also leave the part of Common Jack's video where he explains Ben the Looney briefly.
In November, Ben the Looney came back from the dead after a 1-year, 5-month hiatus. Then he made a video where he basically bashes the show for extremely idiotic reasons.
So you introducing him with that in mind seems really mind-boggling and kinda pointless.
Hey guys, this is Doodle and welcome to Common Jack. God, I just said Common Jack and I already hate myself.
Why? You're the one who named yourself Common Jack. It's kind of your own damn fault. I don't hate myself for naming my channel Doodle Tones, albeit it's a very misleading username nowadays because I don't do music on this channel anymore because, honestly, I suck musically. But, in the end, Doodle Tones is a name I picked out and I enjoyed it. But I guess this is a mistake of naming yourself after a series you once loved. You may not love it the next minute. However, if that's the case, then why don't you get yourself a new avatar? Applejack clearly isn't for you if you no longer enjoy My Little Pony.
Okay, when exactly did Jack say he didn't like MLP anymore? Hating the name Common Jack wouldn't by default mean he doesn't like MLP anymore. It would just mean that he hates the name he came up with that's based off that show.
2, I honestly think you would have gotten your point across without going on a tangent about your name. This honestly could have been summed up in, if you hate the username, why keep it?
Since I'm such a
lazy piece of con.
When it comes to detail, here's some backstory.
Between 1929 and 1969, there was this very popular animated series called The Looney Tunes. In mid-2015, Cartoon Network made a reboot of this animated series, calling it Wabbit, a Looney Tunes production. In November, Ben the Looney came back from the dead after a 1-year, 5-month hiatus. Then he made a video where he basically bashes the show for extremely idiotic reasons.
And then Snap Attack Crew gave me the power of commentaries he never did, so I can commentate on it.
Dude, 1, he's a reviewer. These things are entirely opinion-based.
Oh great, a commentator that thinks that just because they bring up opinions, that somehow makes their argument sound smart. Sorry Doodle, that's not how that works. If someone really thinks that someone's reason is stupid, which is possible in a review, then he has the full power to do so. By your logic, I should be allowed to say that The Lion King is garbage because I thought Simba was a misogynistic homophobe. Hey, it's just my opinion, therefore you telling me I'm wrong is pointless.
I should know. Being a reviewer myself, you can find things to nitpick about. Hell, Mr. Enter does it all the time. And by the sounds of things, you are a huge Mr. Enter fanboy. Okay, I won't judge here. If you like him, you like him. I myself stuck my neck out for him not that long ago against a Caprio DeLorean, so I have no place to judge. But Ben has a very similar style to Enter's, albeit pretty exaggerated and over the top. But that's why he sticks out against other reviewers. He's an angry video game nerd of cartoons, and that's why I found some appeal to him.
What the heck are you even talking about? What does Mr. Enter, or the fact that he's an over-the-top reviewer, have to do with Common Jack's point that he feels that Ben's reasons for hating Wabbit is stupid? Your point doesn't debunk, nor does it try to relate to anything.
Second, powers of commentaries? Dude, it's a commentary. Just get off your ass and do it. The guy you're referring to only has 42 more subscribers than you do. As of scripting.
What Common Jack meant by that statement is most likely that Snap Attack Crew requested this video to Jack, or maybe Common Jack just found it through Snap Attack through other means. On top of that, what does Snap Attack's sub count have anything to do with anything? I mean, it doesn't really add to your point, so you bringing it up just seems rather stupid.
Oh, and if you say he's a dead horse, I will kick your ass all the way back to 2003.
Calm down there.
The only dead horse here is you.
Someone here is definitely gonna be a dead horse soon.
Why is everyone using demonic voices?
Welcome back to Ben Rants, and I'm not allowed in the state of Missouri.
Wow. Fucking wow. I will not talk about how awful is his avatar, since that is not only obvious but irrelevant as well.
At least he draws his own avatars. And before anyone calls me out on hypocrisy, let me be clear, I drew my own avatar on the review channel. I have earned the right to use avatars like Tomoko, Plug, Yui, and Cream.
This does not invalidate his point. You're just using ad hominem. You don't have to be an artist to criticize art, just like you don't have to be a chef to criticize food. So your point is, once again, 100% irrelevant.
So let's talk about the other interesting thing I should bring up. His mic quality. I know that my earlier videos had terrible mic quality. This is gonna hurt a lot when we end the review. But that was in my early commentaries back when my channel was only a month old.
How long did you say this guy was gone for again?
Ben the Looney came back from the dead after a 1 year, 5 months hiatus.
A year and 5 months, I see. Now, perhaps this is just someone with experience talking, but I have found microphones that can break. And maybe you do not have the ability to get a good mic. Be it that there's no time. I mean, surely if he was gone for almost a year and a half, he must be busy with life. Lack of funds. Sure, a decent mic nowadays can cost like $15, but sometimes you have to save that money for other things, especially if you live on your own. I'm not saying that Ben does, but I won't rule out any factor. Give him a while after he comes back, then you have the right to comment on his audio.
Okay, here's the issue. You're basing your entire argument off of a what if, and not even invalidating his point. Does any of this change Ben's bad mic quality? No, then hush up.
Oh, just wonderful. I take a year-long break, I come back to entertain my fans, and Cartoon Network bends me over and trucks me! A new Looney Tunes show? Yeah, because the last one worked so well!
Okay, this is to future reviewers, commentators, voice actors, etc. Aside of an extremely monotone voice, the last thing you want when it comes to sarcasm is drawing out the inflections. Especially when your mic quality is this fucking abysmal. The best way to inflect sarcasm is to be quick. Like this. Because yeah, he wants everything to be censored. Everything! But drawing out your sarcasm like what Ben did here will give your audience audio whiplash.
Yeah, because it's not like you want to make it obvious or anything. It's not like you're trying to be over-the-top character or anything. Yeah, guys, listen to Comment Jack, because he knows exactly what he's talking about.
And if you look to your left, you can see Doodle Tones once again completely missing the point. He didn't say that the sarcasm being obvious was bad, it was that he dragged it out to such an annoying degree, because here's the thing, comedy is timing, and if your joke drags out, that goes against the entire point of timing.
While so far I've said good things about this show, there is still one teensy-weensy, itty-bitty thing they got wrong. Everything else!
Yeah, tell me all the reasons why you hate this show. Is it the gross out aspect? Is it because of them sticking to the formula? Is it because Bugs is not really that pleasant of a character in this incarnation? Each and single one of them is a very reasonable point. Tell me, is it any of those?
While those are also legitimate complaints, you're missing quite a bit of other complaints one could have towards the show.
Hey Doodle, I got a funny joke for you. Who has the attention span of a goldfish and cut off Comment Jack before the point was fully explained to them?
Mel Gibson?
Wait, what? No, besides him.
Wait, you're telling me we haven't been watching The Patriots starring Mel Gibson directed by Roland Emmerich this entire time? Did I mention I'm Native American?
In all seriousness though, Jack continues on what he meant by this literally right after your long tangent.
That's right, everything that's wrong with this cartoon can be summed up with the title. Wabbit! A Looney Tunes production.
Go on.
Whoops, an accident.
The only other Looney Tunes character I've seen in this show is Yosemite Sam, whose new design is ugly as hell.
I find this hypocrisy!
Comment Jack, I'm already defending you, don't test me.
It's the king of the wait a minute now.
By your logic, those characters will never, ever appear on the show since
there is absolutely no space on the cartoon.
See my previous 2 points because I'm skipping to your next one.
Fuck that! I didn't even watch Looney Tunes since I was born to think that Bugs Bunny is the only Looney Tunes character. You're not going to fool me, Warner Brothers.
Jeez, man, you're acting like this show cannot spend 3 seconds without focusing on Bugs Bunny. Also, I don't give a shit that he's not your favorite character, because you are not the only person on the Looney Tunes demographic.
Okay. Dude, 1, he's a reviewer. These things are entirely opinion-based. I should know being a reviewer myself. You can find things to nitpick about. Hell, Mr. Enter does it all the time, and by the sounds of things, you're a huge Mr. Enter fanboy. Hell, I won't judge here. If you like him, you like him.
So you follow up a statement talking about not repeating yourself with a statement where you bring up an old interjection from the beginning of the commentary. I mean, sure, that makes sense.
Think of that for a second.
Mr. Enter isn't the only SpongeBob demographic, nor the only Family Guy demographic, nor the Powerpuff Girls or My Little Pony demographics. I, myself, am not the only demographic for anything I review. The Nostalgia Critic isn't the only demographic for what he reviews. Pie Guy Rules isn't the only demographic for what he reviews. I could go on, but if you don't see what I'm saying yet, let me spell it out for you. He doesn't need to be the only demographic for the Looney Tunes to have an opinion on it. So what if his obsession about a lack of Daffy Duck is stupid? The point overall is that there's a severe lack of characters to a Looney Tunes reboot, and you are going to want those characters for said reboot. That's the overall point. And again, as far as I'm concerned, that is a legitimate complaint to have. Please find better points to argue. I'm tired of repeating myself.
Well, if you have such an issue with repeating yourself, skip parts of the video you don't want to cover. You are repeating the same point with little to no change between them, and you are adding nothing with your constant repeating, so what the heck is the point?
Dumbass. Even ignoring that they can. Ignoring the fact that they can and did. People don't make reboots to compare themselves to the classics.
Actually, they kind of do to some extent. If they really didn't want to be compared, they would have made new characters with new settings, not take characters and settings they're already in. I mean, sure, one could argue that people make reboots for the sake of putting their favorite characters into stories the original show wouldn't, but to that I say, if you wanted to make fan work of these shows, we have YouTube for that now. Hell, we've had it when a lot of these reboots came out. Sure, maybe not all reboots were out when YouTube was, and sure, back then, I would say, sure, I can agree to that point, but nowadays, there's just no point to reboots. Especially if you refuse to keep established characters in character or keep true to the source material. That's just kind of how reboots work in the eyes and minds of a lot of people, except people like yourself who just can't seem to understand how character creation and development should work.
Well, you see, the problem with that statement is... Am I the only one hearing them right now? Oh my god! No!
Oh, please, let me hope that this is his only commentary.
Sammy, there is no need for such a long intro. It's even longer than my intro. 30 minutes long. Holy crap.
Isn't it sad to see that Sammy's intro actually puts in more effort than Trackmania's intro? Which is just text flying by with a robotic sound at the end, then later shows a car driving by only to have it interrupted by a red screen of death. I get that Sammy's intro is long as well, but at least his intro puts in more effort.
It doesn't matter if Sammy's has more effort, his problem was with the length. Even then, oh, your intro isn't that good, so you can't criticize his intro. That's not how it works.
I may not be a world-class chef, but I know when I'm eating garbage. Oh, and if you want to go that route, your intro is nothing but an ongoing clip with a bunch of text over it.
See? Everyone's a hypocrite. Yeah, you're a pot and you're a kettle, everyone's a dick!
Okay, but then we have all these modern gamers.
And technically, you are a modern gamer. That game you have on your table, that's a modern game.
While true that Super Mario Bros. U is a modern game, it's a modern game from a classic franchise. As in, a franchise from the 80s when the NES came out.
That doesn't change the fact that it's still a modern game. Just because it's from a classic franchise doesn't make it classic.
Sonic the Hedgehog can be considered a classic franchise, but that doesn't make Sonic Boom a classic game. Whether it's in a classic franchise or not is irrelevant. It was still released modern day.
I'm sorry, what did you say? Can you speak up, please? Please? Can you do that for me? Hello? You there? Did you accidentally cut out your audio and forgot to retake?
Hey, look, what's that?
It's the joke! And what's that? Whoa! It flew right over his head!
Really, though, he was quite in shock as a response to Sammy's screaming. It's called deadpan.
Also... Did you really have to drag out your joke like that? Did you really think that was necessary? Did you have to do that? Did you have to?
One Direction is responsible for 9/11!
Platformers are the best genre in gaming.
And that is an opinion. See, you need to learn about opinions. Somebody is gonna have a different taste in gaming. Some people like first-person shooter games. Some people like racing games. Some people like whatever they like.
Yeah, it's their own opinion, but just because someone has an opinion, that doesn't mean people can't get called out for it.
Cool. Also, despite how many times M-Skull whines about it, opinions can't be wrong. The information surrounding opinion can be, but the opinion itself can't.
The literal definition of an opinion is a viewpoint not based off fact or knowledge, mostly on a subjective matter. Especially in this case because you can't be wrong about what type of video game you like. Your point had nothing to do with his argument and didn't debunk it in the slightest.
Yeah, about that.
Holy shit, I mean, I know I want you to speak up, but you don't have to be that up close to your mic, dude.
Last time I checked, Little Big Planet was the king of platforming, with over 10 million levels created.
So because
Okay, before you say your next point, let me ask you something. What the hell is this picture? PSA to all commentators, I shouldn't have to go on r/eyebleach after watching your video.
So because a game has over 10 million created levels, that automatically makes it the king of platforming! And yet gameplay, story, and game design doesn't count.
Implying that's even what he said, and you weren't committing strawman claiming he said something he didn't.
You go back to 4chan, scrub!
No, Mommy, the B-board likes to take my lunch money!
I'm not your mommy! Father?
That's not enough!
For you, it's never enough.
Okay, this is something I just realized while editing this commentary. You constantly keep cutting Sammy off for like 2 to 3 seconds, just for you to say something that no one cares about.
Bruh, it a joke. Whether you find the joke funny is irrelevant, it a joke.
What makes you think no one cares? Maybe I care. Maybe Ryan cares. Or maybe... maybe you care.
Why do you think Nintendo still makes consoles? Because they know how to make amazing games.
No, it's because Nintendo is a filthy rich company. Also, their consoles are crappy. Graphics-wise.
Someone must have a biased opinion for Nintendo saying that they're a filthy rich company, and saying their consoles are bad or by graphics-wise. I mean, yeah, graphics are one of the most important things in a game, but saying you don't like the games or consoles just by graphics makes you come off as a graphics whore.
He said they're crappy graphic-wise, which you said yourself is a major part of games, but even then he only said the graphics suck, that the whole console sucked because of it.
Also, this.
Someone must have a biased opinion for Nintendo saying that they're a filthy rich company, and saying their consoles are bad or by graphics-wise.
How does him saying something is bad graphic-wise make him biased exactly? In fact, how does him saying that they still make consoles because they're filthy rich, which he isn't wrong, make him biased?
Oh shit, I forgot my part. Okay, let's go.
Amy the second make one-liner joke, it bad. You make one-liner joke, it good. Logic is for the sponges.
Sponges are square.
Look who's wearing the daddy pants.
Guys, get out of our show!
Okay.
Stop eating tapioca pudding.
Again, I don't completely hate them. I play Little Big Planet often and make some levels.
Are we talking about mini molecules, or are we talking about us liking and respecting classic games? I mean, you want us to.
I don't know. You're the one who said that Little Big Planet is the king of platforming, so you tell me.
That is in no way relevant to his argument. Him liking Little Big Planet is absolutely irrelevant because his complaint was with Sammy going off topic.
Heck, you had a perfect chance to debunk his point. Since Sammy didn't even really go off topic, he was given examples of modern games he likes, so he didn't come off as biased. In fact, this could have debunked the point from earlier about him calling Sammy out for having Super Mario Bros. U. Jesus, do we have to do this entire commentary for you?
Call of Duty and other first-person shooters are not good.
Even BioShock? Even Half-Life? Even Team Fortress 2? Even Shoot Mania? Even Far Cry?
Even Daikatana? Even Aliens Colonial Marines? Even Duke Nukem Forever? Even Call of Duty.
Actually, you're both stupid.
Listen, his point was about pointing out FPSs that were good. You bringing up bad FPSs doesn't debunk his point. In that case, you'd be saying that because those bad FPSs suck, obviously Sammy is justified in generalizing and having a huge bias against the FPS genre. Sounds legit to me.
And the NES era contains some amazing stellar games.
I'm sorry. Is this a rant? Or is it history class?
Well, if you don't like or don't understand what this has to do with the topic of the video, you can, I don't know, skip the fucking part!
No, shut up. If someone says they don't understand a section, it could come down to a questioning of relevance. Sure, he completely missed the point, but our point still stands.
Also, remember earlier when you were questioning his deadpan? Why didn't you just skip it?
Well, it was a joke.
True, but it doesn't change the fact that Zampano basically said that he didn't understand what happened.
Make him hippo.
Didn't have games. Nintendo 64 blew away the.
The frick is this bullcrap?
Funny story, not only did he make the quality of the original video worse, but the audio cuts out quite often past this point.
Either get a better downloader or go frick Broom. But don't actually go frick Broom. Broom is mine!
So a console with less than 400 video games could dethrone a bigger console that has over thousands of games? A Nintendo 64 would not win in the war.
If Nintendo didn't win the console war, then they would have been gone by now.
It would depend on how they lost it. I mean, this is Nintendo we're talking about here. They're worth as much, if not more, than Sony right now. If they lost the console war because of consoles not selling at all, then yeah, they might have a chance of being done for. But if it's just because the consoles sold less than the competition, well, they'd still be Nintendo. I think they'd still be around.
If you look to your left, you see Sammy recharging his energy.
No, if I look to my left, I see a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles poster. Oh wait, that was a joke? Oh, well, I forgot to laugh. Sorry, cause I didn't know sucking dicks jokes were so funny at this day and age.
I find it absolutely infuriating when a commentator finds it upon himself to go, "Was that a joke? I must have forgot to laugh." It's called subjective humor. Subjective humor.
Homosexual.
What's up, owner?
Pickle, go away!
So that's the end of the video. Final thoughts?
Well, I think that it's time.
What?
Yeah, guys, I think he's ready.
Hero, what are you doing?
Hey, Rhino.
Yeah?
Knock knock.
Who's there?
Interrupting ejection.
Interrupting ejection who?
Don't call it a comeback, because I haven't left.
Yeah, sure, we totally thought you left out of the major time frame of 3 months.
Well, 3 months is a long time.
Well, compared to Imskull01, the person he obviously took this line from...
Don't call it a comeback, I never even left.
Imskull's time frame was over a year instead of 3 months. Even then, 3 months isn't a long enough time period for people to think, wait, a new video? Oh my god, Jim made a comeback! Especially since Jim was still posting content in that time frame, so he wasn't even inactive.
Hello everyone, this is the Jim of 99, back with another commentary. Also, I just want to get this off my chest. Dirtbike Redden, I am angry with you that you suggested
that anything that has to do with me doing a co-op commentary with someone should be in the commentary bingo board, because it leaves me with a feeling that you're calling me a good-for-nothing commentator. I will never forgive you for that. I'll prove you otherwise, because you made me sick!
Jim, are you being serious right now?
What? It was just a joke.
Well, the joke doesn't even work, because the bingo board didn't even imply you were a bad commentator.
Well, you kinda did in episode 14.
This man is so generic and cliche, he actually got us a bingo!
Well, I mostly did that because he hit so much of the bingo board, and to be fair, episode 14 is one of my weaker commentaries, but that's beside the point. What most people don't understand is that the bingo board signifies that it's something that a lot of commentators do, and around the time of Redden's statement, Jim had done a lot of co-ops with me, Silver720, Mark Blastic if I'm not mistaken, and 6T76T. Almost all in the same month, might I add. So even if it was a joke, the joke completely missed the point, so it doesn't work.
There's tons of famous gamers like PewDiePie, Angry Video Game Nerd, Markiplier, Game Grumps, and many more.
Okay, I really want to point this out because this is really annoying. And I know this is a minor thing, but every commentary I saw on this guy thought it was a good idea to pointlessly give out their opinion on the 4 gamers listed. It really adds nothing to the video. It doesn't debunk his statement in any way. Heck, they don't even make a joke out of it like what I did with Camia Bams in episode 26. If you have nothing of substance to say, then don't say it.
Gligar13vids. Who is this guy, you may ask? Well, he's a dick and a troll.
Okay, Jim, this is kind of going over the line, don't you think? You find it so funny to make jokes at the expense of someone because of their voice? That thing that they kinda can't control? I'm sorry, but that's just a jerk move on your part.
You know what? I can't take it anymore because of this Gligar13vids. Or should I say, Gligar13dicks. Why? Because he hates all the awesome games.
Hate to break it to you, Dean, but just because a video game is popular doesn't mean everyone in the entire world is going to like that video game. Also, let's take the time to pretend that Gligar13vids isn't a troll and everything he said on those reviews are real. Why do you care so much if he hates those video games? Why is it such a huge deal to you when you see people hating on a video game that you like? Does the whole world end for you when you hear something like that? Or are you such a big Nintendo fanboy that you would defend Nintendo in every way, shape, or form?
Well, let's continue to pretend that Gligar is legit. Gligar in his video says false facts. Gligar tries his best to make the game look worse than it actually is, and in certain cases gets things completely wrong. Dean would care because of that reason. By your logic,
why do you care so much about a guy talking about why he doesn't like Gligar? Does the whole world just end for you? Or are you so much of a Gligar fanboy that you would defend Gligar in every way, shape, or form?
Ooh, sick fire.
He said Nintendo is for kids.
And in some ways over the years, he might be right.
And in other ways, he could be wrong, and only focusing on the examples that prove your point instead of the ones that disprove it is kind of stupid.
What the heck? Nintendo is not only for kids, it's for adults too. Even Nintendo created games that are not for kids, like Metroid, Fire Emblem, and Kid Icarus. Those games are not suitable for kids.
And I want to ask, how are those games unsuitable for kids? Nothing in those games scream M-rated, if you know what I mean. Because if they were unsuitable for kids, they would have had something like, oh, I don't know, graphic violence, sexual themes.
Zero Suit Samus isn't sexual themes. Are you high? Oh yeah, and for Kid Icarus? Hades. If you played Kid Icarus Uprising, Hades.
Language.
Fire Emblem Awakening. I mean, seriously, it says it right there on the ESRB.
As far as I know, all the games that you've mentioned seem like the kind of games that anyone could pick up and play. And I can tell you for a fact that there are some kids out there that do play those games. And I've known a lot of gamers that grew up with Kid Icarus, Fire Emblem, and the Metroid series.
Yeah, and some kids like me, for example, grew up with Grand Theft Auto. That isn't suitable for kids.
Well, those other games are nothing close to Grand Theft Auto.
That's a good point, but as I just said, those games have not all the aspects, but at least some of the aspects he brought up, and there are people who can argue that Zero Suit Samus, Hades' sexual undertones, Fire Emblem Awakening swearing, heck, we can also bring in the Metroid series' overall dark themes in most of the games, especially Metroid Fusion, and say that those aren't suitable for kids.
You do have to admit that Dean worded himself poorly on this, though.
Yeah, I can admit that he didn't word himself good either. I mean, he could have easily presented the reasonings that I just brought up, but that does not make Jim's point any better.
I think your point would have stand a lot stronger if you said, Nintendo is not just for kids, it's made for all ages.
First of all, good job making a joke at his voice's expense again. Second of all, yeah, that would have made his point a bit stronger. Good thing that's not what he said a minute ago.
Nintendo is not only for kids, it's for adults too.
Friggin' pleb.
Even Fire Emblem looks badass. This kinda reminds me of Sword Art Online, but who cares? That game looks badass, like Metroid.
And let me just say this, just because a game looks badass doesn't automatically mean the game is good. I'm not saying that Fire Emblem sucks because of it.
Yeah, even though that wasn't even the main point of his statement. He was trying to support the claim of games not just being for kids.
But it didn't even make sense.
No, it really didn't, but it's not even closely related to what Jim said it was related to.
Also, what exactly are you trying to say with that statement?
You quite literally just said what the point of his statement was. Sure, you completely missed the point, but you just asked a question you already answered.
There's also a website called Remove Gligar 13 Vids from YouTube. So if you want to join, click the link below and I'm gonna join.
Yeah, because that's the last thing the earth needs. Some troll doing videos pissing off all the people who can't tell what a troll is. I mean, forget all the other problems we have like AIDS, cancer, world hunger, the icebergs melting, the economy. But who cares, right? That's small potatoes compared to the real tragedy here.
Oh my.
So here we have probably my favorite fallacy ever, that because there are bigger issues, you are not allowed to complain. For this point, I'm just going to let this clip from Chaotic Paladin speak for itself.
You can complain because there are worse problems. I ask that you never complain, never whine, never ask for help, because you now admit there are worse problems than this. By your own logic, you should not create content unless helpful to the greater problem.
So basically, Jim, no you.
Yeah, I know, YouTube cares about the views so they can't remove Gligar 13 vids because you got more views.
Okay, Jim, it really wasn't funny the first time and it's starting to wear off. Please stop.
But let's check first how many hits.
Okay, you know what? I'll laugh. Ha 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 ha! Okay, can you stop now?
Which is why I bring it up on this video to explain why Gligar 13 dicks is killed.
Okay, we get it! You think his accent sounds funny.
Shut up!
Sorry.
Gligar 13 Vids has no fan page from Facebook. Instead, he got anti-Gligar.
I am not repeating myself.
Okay, this is a minor thing, but it bothers me so much. I absolutely hate it when commentators use the phrase, "I'm not repeating myself." It adds absolutely nothing to the video, and if you're going to repeat yourself, skip that part of the video.
So, is Gligar guilty or not guilty? Well, he's guilty.
He's guilty for what? You didn't even explain to me what he's guilty for.
For being a bad YouTuber? I mean, I thought it'd be obvious since the entire video is him talking about all the reasons Gligar sucks, so it's pretty safe to assume that that's what he was talking about.
Because he pissed you off on the sole fact that he was trolling you by saying, "Oh, Nintendo sucks," and you took him seriously for that.
I just realized that a big majority of this video is just him repeating the "he's a troll" argument. I've said it's to Sonic Orbit, and I'll say it again. Say it once, maybe twice if you absolutely need to. And then don't repeat it again. Goodness gracious, this video is going to kill me!
Don't you think you're overreacting a bit?
Man, I overact my anger sometimes for entertainment. Either way, that's pretty much where the commentary ended.
Really?
Yeah, the rest was just pointless repeats and rambles. Now I must ask QG, what are your thoughts?
Well...
What?
Basically you're about to be hit by Dio.
Yeah, that sounds reasonable. Wait, what?
We're going to check on Gameplay 9 again, but this time with a less annoying video.
Wait, did I just hear that correctly? Are you seriously going to—
No!
Way to improve yourself with each time.
Why do you improve yourself each time?
No.
As in each time he makes a video?
No!
Well, what's wrong with improving your intros every time you make a video? Do you want his intros to progressively get worse to the point where he starts using generic movie maker text? What kind of logic is that?
First of all, he said way to improve your intro, pointing out how the intro was better than it was the last time, baby. Ooh, 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 I'm good. He said nothing about wanting the intro to get worse, or whatever the heck you said. Now you may respond with, why did he have to point out the intro in the first place? Well, that goes into my second point, that Raider88 was not done with his statement.
If only your arguments were as good as the intros.
Raider88's section was, your intro is good, too bad your arguments aren't. This is why you let someone finish a point before you find the need to interject. And before you ask, yes, this really bites him back later in the video.
His intros aren't very impressive, to be honest, so that doesn't really make a lot of sense.
Orbit, baby, you're really boggling me right now. First of all, Raider didn't even say the intro was impressive, he just said the intro was better than it was before, and it's not bad. Your opinion on Gubtle's intro is absolutely irrelevant because either way, that doesn't cause the statement to make any less sense.
Since I already talked about the compatibility issues on computers and the pixel resolution of regular channels and the dumb button layout on HD TVs, it's time to move on to other issues.
Like nuclear missiles, and atomic bombs, and M4s.
Wait, what? What about M4's nuclear missiles and atomic bombs?
No! Hey, you want to hear a secret my friend Hero told me?
It was a joke, honey. It was a joke. Let's discuss the electric window openers.
For they are the spawn of the Satan. Fuck you.
What the hell was that? A super cringeworthy joke that could apply to anything and doesn't at all relate to the subject matter.
First of all, just because a joke can quote-unquote apply to anything doesn't add to why it's bad. I mean, that's one of the very few actual explanations you give. You didn't even mention the delivery of the joke, which was an actual issue with the joke. Also, what do you mean it has nothing to do with the topic at hand? It's a joke related to Gubtail's opinion of cars, which is related to the rant, which means it's related to the topic at hand. So I fail to see where you're coming from on this.
The car has to be turned on in order for the openers to be operated, obviously.
I wonder why. Oh yeah, because it's electronic.
He's not questioning why you have to have the car turned on to pull up the windows. Please let him finish his sentence.
Wow, Orbit, never knew you lived in a glass house.
When I was discussing window crankers with my car dealer, he mentioned that only 2% of the auto industry use them. And yet people say that's progress? Yeah, right!
Really, you couldn't think of anything better than a facepalm joke. You know, that's one of the main bad points about this commentary, aside from the stupid points that don't make any sense. Your humor in this video is really cringeworthy. A lot of the jokes don't even make sense.
Okay, this is a major issue I have. I mean, I'm not gonna be all like, ooh, subjective humors, because there are times where you explain why the joke doesn't work. But this specific reason bothers me. They don't make sense? How? Again, looking back at the two jokes you said this to, one was a clear response to Gubtail talking about how you roll up your windows in the modern era, and the other one was a clear response to something Gubtail said Raider believed was stupid. I mean, unless you explain why they don't make sense, but the problem is you don't. I mean, you could say the jokes are bad, but saying they make no sense, well, makes no sense.
$12,000 for a computer.
That's not even a $12,000 thing you roll right there. That's $1,200, which is about... It's not that expensive.
While Gubtail's $1,200 is a pretty big exaggeration, something that you could have brought up in the video, yes, $1,200 is pretty expensive for a computer, especially if you're poor like Gubtail said later in the video. Oh my god, I can't believe I'm actually defending this piece of garbage.
I'm sorry, am I the only one who thought that that comment was a bit in bad taste? Sure, Gubtail wasn't the smartest person alive, but did you really have to go that far with it?
What are you, 8 years old? Find some better insults and jokes to use. I even made a commentary on this exact video a long time ago, but it just so happens that this commentary is even worse than the original video, and I didn't even think that was possible.
Why don't you cover yourself in tuna fish and run around saying
no? Please stop talking.
Hey guys, Rose Quartz here.
Ah! Ah! Too much saturation! Too much saturation! Ah! Ah! Oh my god! I can't see! Where's the light?
Forget your memories! Forget your memories!
Forget your memories! Forget your memories! Well, my eyes are bleeding now, and as repayment for making my eyes bleed, I'm going to explain why this OC is complete and utter garbage. First of all, holy crap! The colors are so unbelievably bright that it legit hurts my eyes to look at. I mean, I don't know exactly what made you think that making it this bright was a good idea, but I assure you, this is most likely considered assault in at least every state except Florida. And Tennessee. And Maine.
Here, and today we're going to review Griffin the Brush Off 2, The Return of Gilda. Yeah, we all knew this was coming. Now cue the intro song.
Hey guys, you know what would make this already painful amount of red better? More red! That's it! You lost your color privileges!
Wow, another Pinkie Pie and Rainbow Dash episode. We haven't gotten an episode like that since season 1, and that was 95 episodes ago. But the writer for this episode is Amy Keating Rogers, who wrote Pinkie Pie and Billy Vanilli, a few of my favorite episodes. Alright, let's begin.
Hey, I got some advice for you. Maybe instead of sounding bored out of your mind, how about you not overdose on melatonin before you record next time? Like, seriously, you sound like you're giving the speech for your college review paper in front of the class when you're here to entertain me. Emote! Emote!
So the episode starts off at Sugar Cube Corner with Pinkie Pie making one of her grandmother's old recipes with—
Excuse me, ma'am, but it's rather hard to hear you when your weeb music is obnoxiously drowning out your voice. Like, seriously, the audio balancing here is absolutely abysmal, and in the cases where it isn't drowning out her voice, which is a fair amount, I'll admit that, the music is still at a level where it's distracting to the viewer. It has no reason to be as high volume as it is. Just turn it down. No one's really gonna miss it. Because whether you like it or not, the focus is on your review, not your music.
Pony pet bonding! Yay! Suddenly, her cutie mark starts glowing, which means that she's getting summoned by the cutie map. So she decides to entrust Gummy with the—
Oh yeah, I want to get this out of the way real quick. You see this pose here? This is the pose you're going to see for at least 95% of the review. I mean, in the next clip and in the intro, she straight out proves that she has other images, but she just decides that the largest majority of the video, she's just going to use this one single pose for almost the whole review. I mean, you could argue that she doesn't really have any other pictures for her avatars for her reviews, which I'd kind of get that, but that doesn't change the fact that she doesn't really do anything visually, minus a very small amount of exceptions, to really engage me into the review. And if there's nothing visually engaging me, then I have no choice but to focus on the fact she uses this one picture for almost the entire review.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Leave your motionless pet to handle the baking. That's totally not dangerous at all.
Look, guys, I'm totally angry about the situation. Can't you tell from my acting that sounds like I don't have a soul?
Anyway, Polly is excited that the map is calling them the Griffin Zone, the Griffin Kingdom. Wow, I haven't heard about Griffin since the Equestria games. Though Polly is excited, Rainbow's not ever since her ex-friend Gilda this. How come I knew this was coming? Ew. Great.
I swear, watching this video, I can't help but feel there's a huge problem I haven't touched on yet, and I'm currently missing, but I'm not sure what it is.
Probably didn't explain that Griffinstone has a rich history centered around an ancient treasure called the Idol of Boreas. I wonder if it's one of the 8 magical items that Starlight Glimmer mentioned in the cutie map.
Of course it isn't! This episode mentions multiple times near the end that A, the idol's not important, and B, it's freaking gone. It's a throwaway object that was there to teach the moral. Nothing more, nothing less.
But Twilight's disappointed that the map is not summoning her to Griffinstone. But she is confident that Pinkie and Rainbow can solve whatever problem the kingdom has on their own. I know how it feels to be excited about going somewhere you've been studying for a month, but to find out that you can't go.
I know the feeling. Just stop mumbling! Stop it! Use your outside voice! I already hate it that the music is occasionally drowning out your voice, but it makes it even more obnoxious that you also decide to go all martini and buy my mixtape in the process and expect me to follow what you're freaking saying.
I've been disappointed by that for far too long. But this is interesting. The map chooses who shall go where. I hope to see that with Rarity and Applejack. Anyway, during her train ride on the Friendship Express, Pinkie spends most of their bits on sweets. Come on, Pinkie! Are you trying to be worst pony of the season? You already won that during season 4 with your behavior towards Fluttershy during Philly Vanilli.
No, she didn't. That was one episode and Mod Pie more than made up for it. Please do the entire fandom and especially me a favor and let that episode go already. Even as a joke, it's no longer funny. Given that you're in no way special on this joke thanks to Mr. Enter, it's just painfully obnoxious at this point.
Sorry, got carried away there.
Gee, you think?
Whoa, 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 look out for my next single, it's called my salsa.
Pinkie Pie finds the library to be just as much as she owns as the rest of the city.
It's weird. I still feel like I'm missing an obvious complaint with this video and I just don't know what it is.
It decides to have a chat with the statue of King Grover.
I ship it like FedEx!
Okay, what's kind of sad about this joke is I know what she was going for. Because in the episode, Pinkie starts sweet-talking the statue that she brings up in the review.
King Grover, you old charmer.
So of course she had to make a shipping joke, which I admit, if it was done right, I would have at least giggled. Problem is, it wasn't a well-executed joke because she didn't show me the scene before playing the clip or had any indication that the scene even happened. She just said she talked to the statue, shipping joke. And later in the review, she shows us that she can show clips of the show.
Then she says this.
You're more important to me than some dumb chunk of gold.
So she would have been able to make this joke at least somewhat work. You see, Rose, this is a little thing we like to call timing. Say it with me now. Tie-mean.
He then chats with Gilda and discovers that the kingdom doesn't have singing, a party store, or a bakery. Okay, a world without singing is a world I do not want to live in.
I swear there was something in this video I'm missing and it's gonna kill me if I don't figure it out.
So apparently all it has is Griffin scones, which Gilda sells to make a living. No wonder why she's a scone cold bitch. Get it? Scone cold. Oh, come on. That was funny.
You know, honestly, I kind of find it depressing that you trying to suck at humor is funnier than you actually trying to make a joke.
But seriously though, the scones taste terrible. How are you not used to crunchy things, Pinky? Isn't Maud your sister? Don't you make rock candy with her? And didn't you used to live on a rock farm?
What are you even saying? Like, is there a joke I'm missing? Because you live on a rock farm and make rock candy, you should be able to eat a poorly cooked hard as a rock scone? What? That's like saying that since you worked at a meat factory all your life and you eat meat that you shouldn't have a problem converting to cannibalism. Even as a joke, I don't get it because, well, for a joke to work, it has to make at least a bit of sense.
So Pinky helps Sarah with baking. When the distracted smell of their baking causes a griffin named Greta to fall out of the sky, Gilda helps her up. Whoa, wait. Is Gilda helping someone out without pushing them down? Pinkie Pie noticed this and sees a good side in Gilda.
Okay, there is something I noticed while watching this review a few times, and it's really starting to bug me. But a major problem I have with this review is she constantly spouts funny remarks and or interesting observations, makes it seem like she's going to continue on said remarks or observations, and doesn't. At all. She just leaves the statement lying sad and alone as she awkwardly transitions back into the synopsis. Wait a second. That's it! That's the big problem with this video! And for the most part, not really a review at all! Like, sure, she talks about the episode like a review at the end of the video, but that's like, what, less than a minute that can actually be considered a review? The most she does for the rest of it is just tell you what happens in the episode and occasionally make a funny remark and or interesting observation that once again she barely ever expands on. I mean, seriously, what makes a review? Well, for one, she doesn't really critique anything throughout the whole video, and even when it seems like she's going to, again, she doesn't expand on anything. Most, if not all, of her attempts at entertainment fall flat. Oh, and it sure as heck isn't in any sense of the word analysis. I swear, stuff like that just peeves me off. People who call themselves analysts without a clear understanding of what the word analysis actually means. You could just make an entire review that's just, it good, the end. And it would have the same amount of substance and impact, if not more, than this poor excuse for intellectually stimulating content. Is this really what people qualify as quality material? Really? 12 likes, really?
This dick ain't free!
Okay, I know I hate Gilda with a burning passion, but she is just too cute! As Hoops, Dumbbell, and Score make fun of Gilda for not flying, a Billy Rainbow Dash appears to stick up to her. Maybe she's not flying because she, oh I don't know, just got here.
Yeah! Stick it to those characters that are already established to be bad guys with your spouting of meaningless bullcrap that any human being could figure out on their own, adding nothing to the review. You go, girl!
But it's good to know that Rainbow would defend all passive creatures and not just Fluttershy. Through love of flying, Rainbow and Gilda become close friends, back in present day. Gilda reluctantly agrees to help.
Okay, I know I'm just now commenting on this, but please stop pausing so much. If you make a flub or a pause, edit it or re-record.
Well done, Amy Keating Rogers. This was a great episode and I hope we get to see more. So I'm gonna give this episode 5 Whittle Gildas out of 5. Well, that's our time for today. Join me next time as I review the 100th episode everyone's been looking forward to. I have been clocked up to the low and treacherous. This is Rose Quartz.
Hey, you know what's a good idea to do during your outro? Turn up the music loudly so your outro statement is almost literally impossible to understand. Genius! And with that large pile of rip, the video ends. Now for my final thoughts, you're gonna have to forgive me because that poor little OC of yours broke its leg and I'm sadly gonna have to put it down.
Wait, my leg isn't broken.
Your leg is broken!
Hi everyone, this is K Commentator Kieran.
Wow, it's pretty sad. It only took me 2 seconds to find a huge issue with this video. Following Broom's point, what exactly is this background? Legit, I might have exaggerated Rose Quartz's brightness in episode 39 for comedic effect, but holy crap! Shout out to K-Dude for mixing 2 colors that don't mesh that well and have them at the highest saturation to completely murder my eyeballs. Now, while I usually would just grayscale it and call it a day like I did with Rose Quartz, Doodle already did that, and I want to go the extra mile. So I'm going to do everybody a favor and remake your pathetic excuse for visual presentation. You're welcome.
And today we're doing a commentary on a YouTuber called Nathaniel Bandy. He creates a lot of top 10 videos, and generally reviews games, officially released ones, and fan-made ones.
Okay, this should go without saying, but holy crap! Actually make sure you're awake before you start recording. Like, I get you're considered new to the community, but they're sounding bored, and then they're sounding like you haven't slept in 6 years.
He was a massive bandwagon at the time when he released his top 10 worst Mario Kart characters video.
I beg your pardon, sir. Or ma'am, because I'm not assuming. I mean, if you call 4 people, one of those people going after a completely different video, mind you, covering him in a short time span before moving on to other projects, massive.
Ew, that's unsanitary.
Then yeah, that makes sense. But if you actually mean, you know, what massive is actually supposed to imply, then no, you're exaggerating. A lot. Oh my god, seriously, Broom? We're less than 5 minutes in and you're already making bad sex jokes? I mean, seriously, how would that even work? How would it fit?
Also, I want to make this video to show the improvements he's made, but the room for improvements he still has. One final thing is that it may come off as me taking jokes too seriously a lot of the time, because a lot of this video is for comedic purposes and not really supposed to be taken seriously. However, a lot of his jokes don't follow much logic, and a lot of his jokes really just annoy me with how much they don't make any sense. So even though it may seem like I'm picking on jokes too much, it is because the jokes don't have anything to stand on.
So, you made words. You made words. You made a series of English that was put together to make a sentence. Now, please actually make something coherent. My point exactly, Broom. And to make matters worse, it's not like... Wait. Broom, what did you just say about my mother? Anyways, I mean, it's not like there was bad grammar or anything. It's just that a lot of what he says comes off as super conflicting. Like, a lot of sections are comedic and not to be taken seriously when he's critiquing the humor, but then he goes on to say that he's gonna pick apart the humor, implying that he is to be taken seriously. Are you pulling a manga comment on me right now? I mean, the easy argument you can make is, oh, well, maybe he meant that if it comes off as he's overreacting to a joke, that it must be for comedic effect. Well, I thought of that myself, but that creates a new problem. That interpretation doesn't come across that well either, because once he starts to actually critique the jokes, which yes, we will get to, it doesn't feel like he's jokingly exaggerating like something I would do in my videos. It legit feels like he's reading too deep into the joke, which isn't helped by the already mentioned abysmal acting. So at the end of the day, your entire tangent just comes off as, I'm joking, I'm just serious.
Jeez, that was a long intro. How many people have left the video so far? Huh. Well, with all of that said, I hope you enjoy and leave some feedback if you have any by the end of the video.
Wow, it's almost like I don't want to kill myself. Wait, you're what?
All my life I want money and power.
Kanye West?
Try to catch it.
Wait, what? When the heck did I bring up religion? Okay, now you're just nitpicking, and as we all know, nitpicks are automatically bad. But to get back on topic, let me pick apart this intro piece by piece. First of all, your music sounds so poorly ripped, it almost sounds like you recorded the song by putting your mic close to the speakers. Second of all, the editing is uncreative and just overall garbage. It's like, hey, I have an idea for an intro. Let's have a picture slide into the corner of my avatar, the one that was previously on screen, mind you, have nothing flow into anything, not even change the background, and basically do nothing to put effort into making something worth anyone's time. Oh, and before you say,
he's a new commentator. You usually suck around that time.
I could name you a ton of commentators that put way more effort into their intros during the first few commentaries, right at the top of my head. Autumn-chan.
This is so gay.
Boon Slayer.
You know how we white people feel about hella dunking.
Renegade Master.
You telling me they don't look at me like the motherfucking glitch?
As Elf 101.
Carlton Banks.
Silver. Heck, even though I hated his intro, Skeleton Nation put more effort into his first intro than this guy did, because at least he had the common decency to try and change up the visuals so I can attempt to give a crap. Oh, and to make it worse, the music fades out before the intro's even finished transpiring. TLDR, this intro is trash.
It's controlled entirely with motion controls. To turn left, you do that, move in that direction. Wait, to move in that direction. What's that supposed to mean?
Well, by looking at the minigame, it seems like it means to move forward after turning left or right. I get that this was a joke, but the premise of the joke doesn't really make any sense, as you can clearly see what it means in the minigame itself. And you know, it's not like this is new information presented to him. It's not like he didn't know this, and I know this joke wasn't even supposed to be taken that seriously. But the point I'm trying to make is, if the audience can figure out that your joke is based off of false information, There isn't really much of a joke there at all in the beginning, considering that the basis of your joke is false.
You can't be serious. Okay, allow me to explain the joke that was so in front of your face that it's one step closer to just defying physics and phasing into your skull. He never, ever said that it was impossible to understand. The joke, you tithead, was that he was poking fun at the wording, as the phrase, that direction, when compared to the other instructions, could be seen as extremely vague. Also, you gotta love how he acknowledges that he should be taking it too seriously, as he continues to take it too seriously! This is why I said the impression of him exaggerating the joke for comedic effect came off as not coming close to being the case at all. Because not only does his inflection fail to convey any of that, but if this was one of those moments of him exaggerating, then he is admitting that his point has no reason to be here. So, we have two things going on here. Either your point is incredibly stupid, or congrats, you made a bad joke. Your move.
You know what's really dumb though? There's no pause button. Yeah, that's right. If you gotta make a call, or check Twitter, or take a poop, you gotta hit the home button. You can't even restart the minigame.
Later on in this review, you show you have to hold the pause button on your Wii Remote rather than press it.
What?
I agree that that's a stupid way to pause a game.
So, his complaint is valid, and this was a pretty decent example of build-up.
But all of the points you make here are invalidated yourself, as you show you can pause to do any of these things you've mentioned. I get that you only suddenly start realizing there is one later, and that that's another joke. However, it makes your actual points against the game here weaker. In fact, that seems to be a common theme we could see throughout this video. Also, you mentioned that you can use the home button to stop the game, so there is a way to do most of the things you've mentioned without having to hold a button at all. You can't restart a minigame from the home button, but the other things you can do, as they have nothing to do with anything in the game, and only things you need to be able to stop the game to do. So overall, these points don't mean anything. Way to waste our time.
Okay, there is actually so much wrong here, I don't even know where to start. 1, oh my god, do you not understand build-up? The reason he said before that you couldn't pause was so that he could emphasize that the game doesn't convey to you that you have to hold down the button for it to work. Once again, you acknowledge the point behind the joke, but then you follow that by still somehow missing the point. 2, when you say the other complaints, or your previous points, using plurals, are you implying that he invalidated more than one point with the statement? This is so poorly worded, I actually can't tell. Even then, like mentioned before, it does not make his last point pointless because, as I brought up before, his last point was supposed to build up to a bigger issue. 3, you say that this is a running theme throughout the video. Despite you not proving your point with any of the clips you've shown so far, there actually isn't any explanations as to why this is the case. I mean, I usually wouldn't care too much, but again, the examples you brought up so far are shaky at best and completely garbage at worst. And 4, you bring up how you could still do anything you would normally do in the pause menu by bringing up the home screen except for restart the mission. And that's supposed to mean what exactly? I mean, restarting the mission could still be considered something one would want to do in a game in case they screw up or something, right? Even then, this shouldn't matter in the long run because nothing about this statement actually debunks Bandy's main point. It dances around the issue more than anything, and frankly, it's rather annoying.
This is Asteroid Crash. You just shoot asteroids for 5 stages and collect bananas for points.
How descriptive is this, guys? Yeah, I don't want to have to point out every time he doesn't explain something very well. So instead, I'll show this text. I do have an overall point to make about this though. I understand that this game has 50 minigames, and that that's a lot to talk about, but still, I think it would be helpful for you to talk about each minigame a bit more than you do. Later on, you even skip a lot of the minigames, which gives me the impression that you're rushing through these, so that the video isn't too long. You could say, well, the video was too long, it got boring, and the video ended a bit more than 10 minutes long. I think it's just about doing that. Even a 20-minute long video, I think is okay.
You are really annoying. Can I just say that right now? You are actually really hard to sit through. I know that comes off as harsh or whatever, and I'm technically repeating an old point, but with the low amount of visual engagement mixed with your frustratingly slow talking, I'm actually having issues wanting to tackle your points because you are painfully freaking boring. Anyways, to address your point, once again, you acknowledge the reason behind the choices, yet you continue to act like it isn't a factor at all. Do you actually hear yourself talk whenever words fly out of your mouth? Not to mention that the examples you've shown wasn't even an example of him not explaining enough. Like, what else do you want him to explain? He basically explained the entirety of the minigame to you. Oh, and to top this all off, he actually skips over a part of the video that conveniently proves his little complaint to be sketchy at best.
And my god, is the control awkward. You have to move your remote like you're trying to vacuum your wall.
Oh, and what about the next segment?
It's kind of fun smacking the thieves until the monkey ball rolls in out of nowhere and just ruins your whole game.
Oh, and let's not forget this little gem too.
Surprisingly, this looks like it could have been really fun if we didn't have to use motion controls. They feel so slapped on.
Oh, wait, I'm actually explaining my points with visual evidence. My bad. Now, with all that in mind, what conclusion can we come to? It's almost like Mr. Genius here completely exaggerated the problem because he's too busy being stuck in a state of clinical depression to actually do his job correctly.
I wanna kill myself.
Sir, this is a Burger King. Please order something or I may have to ask you to leave.
Oh, and before you say, well, there's still segments where he doesn't explain, do you know what that could and most likely does imply? That some minigames did not call for an explanation to be had. What if some minigames he skipped had similar complaints to already talked about minigames? What if that's also the reason he was brief with some segments? I know you said that 20 minutes is an acceptable length for a video, but there's a difference between being long and being long without a point. And what you're suggesting will result in the latter, you freaking nerd.
Put yourself in a freaking microwave and blow up. That's what I think you should do, Kermit, you freaking milky liquor.
And now we got Bugs Balance. Wow, a great variety of bugs. There's a ladybug, a ladybug, a ladybug. Seriously, of all the bugs in the world, why ladybugs? They're so tiny. It's like I'm trying to catch dust.
Oh, okay. I didn't even need to show evidence that your claim before was absolute bogus. You show him going into more detail in your own freaking commentary. What are you, freaking gay? Say something!
Whilst, yes,
you know what? I retract my last statement. Please go back to shutting up.
A larger variety of bugs would have made this minigame more interesting.
So his complaint is valid then, right?
If they wanted to pick only one, I don't see the problems you have with them picking a ladybug.
Why does it matter?
Yes, in real life they're small.
Shut up.
But how does that matter in a video game?
Stop talking.
They can be whatever size the developers want them to be.
Put a sock in it.
If somebody wants to make Ladybugzilla, they can.
This is probably the only funny part of this entire video.
If your complaint was that they're too small and that they didn't make their models large enough,
which it was,
you didn't have to target the fact that in real life ladybugs are small.
Yeah, that's fair, except for the fact that he didn't.
You could have just said they weren't made large enough for the minigame to be much fun.
Woo-wee! What a brilliant idea, Kay! So brilliant, it's almost like that's what actually happened!
I'm smoking down, down, down. I'm smoking down, down, down. Got a half a pound of artichoke.
Like seriously, imagine you're playing a Mario game and the only way to move is to do this. Yeah, this is how you jump, this is how you go left and right. That would be stupid! Or what about with Link? What if you had to swing your sword around like this? Wait.
Mario is a platforming series and The Legend of Zelda is an RPG series.
Stop the world and let me off.
These are party-styled minigames. You're comparing apples to oranges.
Oh my god, do you understand that he wasn't directly comparing Zelda and Mario to party minigame controls, right? He was just using examples of motion controls that would be applied to those franchises and those franchises alone. You are legit making a mountain out of a molehill.
Alright, here's free throw. You throw some balls into one of the 5 baskets. So to throw the ball, you push A and you move down. It feels more like a fly swatting simulator. No matter how much I play this one, I can't get used to the controls. It feels random for how fast you throw the ball.
This section feels like you're criticizing the game over your preference of controls, which is not a fair way to judge it, as different people probably don't have any problems with the controls.
Shut up! Just shut up. Stop talking. Please. Okay, if you actually paid attention to the video you're covering, he said that near the end of his explanation that the force point behind the ball feels random. Like sometimes it go fast and sometimes go slow, even if you seem to be throwing with the same force. Now, if you were a smart person who does smart people things like wear shirts and be smart, you'd be able to see this as him criticizing bad programming. I'm also skipping his next point because all that amounts to is Bandy going into detail about the poorly worded instruction screen
for the basket on the left-hand side. What's wrong with just saying turn left?
And Killer Keemstar just going,
well, you should have explained this when you first brought up the complaint with the control screen, blah, blah, blah.
Which I can kinda get, but this actually opens up a new problem. Doesn't this render the 2 points made earlier in the video near pointless? Because Bandy flat out points out in that segment that his problems was with the wording. Yet the 2 previous times you got onto him for complaints involving the instructions, one of these instances I skipped, granted, you act like he was criticizing them for not teaching you how to play the minigame.
Well, by looking at the minigame, it seems like it means to move forward after turning left or right.
So which one is it, Mr. Titty Meister? Like, are you seriously that impatient of a person that you can't just watch the full video instead of jumping the gun like McCree playing hopscotch? Like, seriously, what is this video? I don't get it! By the way, we're once again gonna be skipping your next point because in the end I'd just be repeating myself. In fact, I'm about 5 pages into my script and about 5 steps away from strangling myself, so let's play a little game. I'm gonna skip every section in his video where he A, misses the point entirely to the point where I want to die, B, takes a joke too seriously to the point where I want to die, and or C, bores me to the point where I want to die. Are you ready? Too bad, because you already know what the joke is. This video sucked! What did I just watch? When I first discovered you, I thought you were just gonna be a simple run-of-the-mill below-average commentator starting out, but I was wrong. Boy, I was wrong. Like, there's a reason I named this commentary to basically imply it being a sequel to my Conquer 09 commentary, because this video, like the Conquer video I covered before, is an entirely different realm of making me not only salty, but also stuck in a state of utter confusion on how someone could be this unaware to what's going on around them. You either missed the point, made up a point, or had no point. In fact, I feel you almost went out of your way to make sure your points were as off the mark as possible.
Oh, but it's for comedy, so don't take me seriously. Yuck, yuck.
Like I mentioned before, you basically get the same response I had from Manga Common when he said the exact same thing towards me after I covered him. Yes, you totally weren't meant to be taken seriously, despite the fact your video actually gives a ton of indication to the opposite being true. Overall, this commentary was just disposable trash, and I genuinely hope this isn't what you plan to bring to the table in the future, because if it is, you are frankly screwed. Also, if you want my advice, change your stupid username. I mean, seriously, K commentaries? How long did it take you to come up with that one?
Hello, every pony Artilisiana here.
Okay, quick question. Why is it apparent that there are some people that just don't understand how to make good-looking OCs? I mean, I could explain all my issues with this OC right off the bat. I mean, not sure if the specific picture is fan art, but already this hump right here pisses me off on multiple levels. You made the color palette freaking green, yellow, and dark brown, which is a weak combination. It just reminds me of things that make me sick to my stomach. And to make it worse, you give the character freaking tentacles that's a rainbow. And that just does nothing but make it worse, since the rainbow doesn't even collide with the freaking colors of the pony! Overall, this entire OC gets a 3 out of 10. Please learn to design. And please seek help.
Warning, this video will contain pictures from Google and YouTube and Patreon and from another YouTuber called for no good reason, or in short FNDR, and yeah, this is going to be mostly negative, I think.
Going off the fact that you keep going and throughout this video, I'm going to assume you're doing this whole video unscripted. And that would be bad enough based off of the fact that you stumble throughout most of the video, but when you're not even able to figure out the tone of your own video, that shows nothing but laziness on your part.
Also, some of the stuff that he does on his channel, I will not agree upon doing, because, you know, there's difference between harsh criticism and good criticism.
No, there is not a difference between good criticism and harsh criticism. And if there is, it's quite minor. Because if the harsh criticism is valid, then it's still considered good criticism. Sure, harsh criticism can be wrong, but that doesn't change the fact that the core of harsh criticism doesn't differ. Unless when you say good criticism, you mean nice. In which case, yes, there is a difference, but if a criticism from both sides are valid, then it holds the same amount of weight.
Because besides his King of Limbo videos, he also, you know, look at the Rift, and he gives some, you know, very harsh criticism to other ponies. Sometimes it's like there's some good in his criticism, but he also has someone where he goes below the belt and say stuff that is not true.
You know, a huge claim like that brings up such interesting and valid questions for you, Miss Anna. Would you like to present examples of people he said false things about? And on the side of that, would you like to explain why what he said about said person is false? Oh, you're not? Well, that's just fine and dandy then. Just don't be surprised if I think you're full of crap.
Or I guess that is just the way he is, because he's a changeling and it fits to his character. Even though I wish that he would look more on people's channel and be more a part of what they do before he, you know, opens his mouth, or how to say that without being evil.
Okay, how do you know he hasn't done this? How do you know he hasn't watched a lot of these people before making these negative claims he makes about them? Again, without any examples to back yourself up, you seem like someone spewing crap because either you want crap to be sugar-coated and full of sunshine and rainbows, or FNGR said something about someone you like in a negative manner.
It's great to see that he can, you know, work together with Golden Fox and everybody else that is in the King of Limbo stuff, but I do believe that he also have adjusted some of the King of Limbos and also adjusted some of what they are saying. It's not because I want to be evil or anything, but I do think that he adjusted it so it fits like it's only going to be positive and there's nothing negative said about him. And I must admit I was a little bit skeptic after I saw ANY's video where he actually responds to For No Good Reason. I lost some...
Okay, lady, if you're gonna make such a big claim against him due to one simple misunderstanding that happened a month before your video and was cleared up already, then honestly that's just petty at best. Even then, how does that situation contribute to your claim that he rigs the podcast to be in his favor? Because again, it was just clearly a misunderstanding.
You know, I was watching a lot of his King of Limbos and his normal videos. I still do for some odd reason, for no good reason.
Help me, Jesus! Help!
But yeah, I do feel like he could take things better.
Wait, I thought you were on the thought process of him rigging his podcast and such and connecting the ANY thing to that, and I give up. Seriously though, back to the ANY thing, since that was the last thing really brought up before this statement. When ANY called FNGR out, FNGR owned up to his mistakes. I don't know how that would prove that FNGR needs to take things better. Unless those two things weren't related in the slightest, in which case that wouldn't surprise me. Because again, you decide to make this video a huge unscripted mess.
And now I've been looking at his Patreon because I didn't want to be like biased or anything. But he doesn't have that lot of, support, and that is also why I think that he's a little bit sour, or how to say that.
Lady, you are pulling bullcrap out of thin air, and at this point you're just trying so desperately to discredit him, it hurts me in my very soul. I got a good idea. Before you make such big claims against people like this, have some substance to your claim. Therefore, you won't look like you're throwing out baseless assumptions, which does nothing but pretty much guarantee that you will be found wrong and you'll come out looking like a Nimrod. And as an added bonus to this, implying your claim is actually valid, I might just take you seriously. That part, however, is not guaranteed, as you stumbling over your words just makes you look too lazy to script and edit.
Do remember to have a great day, and I'm sorry if this was... like very negative or seeing bad upon of a reviewer.
Oh ma'am, I'm not upset because your video was negative. I'm upset because it's wrong.